When Dale Earnhardt had his hands on the steering wheel, he felt and saw things that you and I will never see. He could see the wind. Even moving at 200 miles an hour, he could see things more clearly than most of us could ever fathom, and thrill us all while he was doing it. Some call him legend, some call him hero, some simply call him dad, or son, or to me, he was the love of my life. Dale Earnhardt was a man who personified the American dream. He worked hard, he earned everything he had, and he enjoyed it. This is an achievement of a lifetime. And to be able to celebrate it, for me, this is a moment of pride for Dale that I just can't put into words. So as I thought about the importance of today, I thought about the people, I thought about what people recognized and remembered about Dale's attributes. They called him the bravest, the toughest, the greatest, the most unselfish, the most generous, the most authentic, just to summarize a few. So there's so much that we could say about Dale. But the people who believed in him, cheered him to victory, held him up to greatness, have said it best. Former President George Bush quoted Dale, quote, "an American legend." Senator Jesse Helms said Dale was, quote, "an authentic American. He was a hero to millions." Secretary of State Colin Powell called him, quote, "an American icon." Another quote, "he was the greatest race car driver that ever lived." Bud Moore got straight to the point when he said, quote, "there's Earnhardt, and then there's everybody else." But local school But local school children put it best when they simply called him, quote, "a real hero." Dale Earnhardt was definitely a hero to his family, and no one can say more about that than his children. Through them, his friends and fans, through this Hall of Fame, and through you, Dale Earnhardt, the legend, lives on. Carrie?
You know, Dad, as we grew up, he sacrificed a lot in life. There was a lot of times when Dad wasn't around, and I wonder what was important to him that he had to be gone all the time. Thing called autograph sessions, appearances. Fans meant the most to Dad, and Dad once taught me things about what fans were. He always taught me that no matter who it is in life, your bosses, the co-workers you work with, are the ones that come out to support you in whatever you do in life, are your fans, the ones that believe in you and believe in everything you do. You know, Dad was just tremendous with his fans. Learned a lot from Richard. Richard, awesome. I can't say enough about what the fans meant to Dad. Dad would always take the last minute and plus some to be associated with the fans, little ones up to older ones. And a lot of times Dad would give back to fans for what they did for him. I remember times when he met children with handicaps. They end up having a van built for a wheelchair access and given to the family, to many other things. And just a proud moment to be here and be part of this induction of the Hall of Fame. And as a son, thank everyone and the fans out there that supported him. Kelly?
Thank you. My dad was a very giving person. Though he was a competitive driver and a businessman, that was very important to him, but it was also important to give back. And whether he did that to the local farmers on Highway 3, or racers just getting started like Jeff Gordon, or the men and women serving in our military and the public service. He was about doing business the right way and using his successes to give back to others. Giving back was important, but what was not important was telling people about it. And most of his acts of kindness went without anyone knowing. At other times, his help and his advice was a little more public. Right, Dale?
Yeah, I guess you could say there were a few times where I got some public advice from him. We were in Japan racing. I was racing for the first time against the Cup competitors and my father, and it was late in the race. I'd got some new tires, only had a few laps to make those work for me, and I got up underneath him off of turn 3 and 4, and I just needed about 2 inches to clear him. And I didn't have him cleared, and I slid across his nose up out to the wall, and he carried me all the way down the front straightaway on my front, with my back tires in there, all the way off into 1. And that was the day I met the Intimidator. So he let me go, but and I ran from him like I had an F on my report card. But with that same grit and competitive spirit, he carried that with his racing, but he carried it with everything else in life too. And when he wasn't in the race car, he was always outdoors. He was an avid outdoorsman, right, Taylor?
I think that it's a big, knowledge that me and Carrie and Kelly and Dale all grew up with different aspects of Dad. Dale, was always at the track with him, and I was, as a baby, was always at the track, but he always see me kissing the cheek and everything. But I got the more outdoorsy and the farm and the real man that he was behind the scenes and away from the racetrack. And I always grew up, not wanting to clean my room, and so I'd call Dad, and we'd go ride around the farm, and he taught me how to hunt, and aside from, just hunting, he taught me how to, take care of animals and how to preserve and conserve animals, which is something he was very passionate about, and he, he taught me that, and that's something I took from him, and I think that with us all having different experiences, we all have, we all look like, Dad, and everybody always tells us that we all look a little bit like Dad, and I think we all act like him too. We're determined and driven and stubborn as a fence post, but Dad gave all 4 of us something, and he gave all his fans something, and I think that's what makes him a true champion in everybody's eyes. So.
I'd like to give you one more quote from Dale. A racer wants to race and win. Imagine having the opportunity to do that for a living, and then to be successful, and then to be considered one of the greatest drivers that ever raced, especially by a group of peers, is one of the greatest honors a driver could ever receive. I've had a great career. If it ended tomorrow, I'd have no regrets. Dale Earnhardt. Thank you.